You have the ability to control who accesses your Denari data and how much of that data they can see or access by creating a user record for them. A user record contains the username and password as well as some other information along with security settings for each user. There are some rules related to users in Denari that we should cover. First, a user license is required for each person who will be logging into Denari. Additional licenses, when needed, can be purchased from our admin office. Second, each user should have their own user record. Only one person can be logged in at a time with the same user record. If a second person attempts to log in using the same username and password, the second person will kick out that first person. And finally, once you have reached your license limit of users, the Add New button will disappear, and you won't be able to add new users until you've contacted the admin office. Now you can set up your users. Click the gear icon at the top of the page, and in the admin column, choose User Setup. When your Denari company is initially set up by Synergy, you will have one user record that will allow you to log into your data. You can edit that record or add a new one. In either case, you'll need to click on one of the records that are there to get to the Add New button. Here in the demo company, we have a lot of users. I'm just going to click on one that's already here. If you are creating a new user, click the Add New button in the sidebar menu to get a blank page. Then you'll fill in the person's first and last name. Next, enter the login name. This can also be called the username. The first field, or this field, must be unique. There cannot be two people using the same username in either your company or any other Denari company, so something like Susan may not be a good idea. There are probably several Susans using Denari in other organizations. Denari will check for duplicates when you leave this field and will not let you proceed until you have a unique username. Also remember that this field is case sensitive. Next, enter a password. In reading the text above that field, you'll see that it must be at least 6 characters long and have both upper and lower case characters as well as at least one number. Here, you'll enter the email address. Having the correct email address here can help us in tech support. That email address shows in the tech support messages that are generated through the support button at the top of Denari. Occasionally, we need to send something to you that can't be sent through the message system, and having the email address there makes it much faster and easier to fire off an email. There are also some features in Denari that send an email notification, and this is the email that would be used for that. It's possible to organize users into departments. You can create new departments by clicking the plus sign at the top and then clicking on Departments. It is actually the same list of departments as you would use for fund codes. There's really only one advantage to grouping users into departments, and that is when you run some standardized reports, one of the distributions options is My Department. When you run a report, choosing that option will cause it to show up in the inbox of everyone in your department. The assigned server will always be general unless we tell you differently. There are multiple servers that handle Denari's various print jobs. This field designates the server that will handle reports for this user. Almost always it will be general unless there are specific circumstances. There are two methods to control user access to Denari. The most basic is access level and is required. You must assign an access level to everyone. The options here are System Administrator. This gives the user full access to all of Denari. You must assign this level to at least one user in your organization, but you can have more than one. Data Entry User. This person has the same access capability as the System Administrator, except for the items that are administrative in nature. So for example, a data entry user can't change system settings, can't add or change users, export data, etc. However, they can run reports in the same way that the system administrator can. They also cannot reopen batches and some other system control type functions. Next in line is management. This level has fewer access abilities than data entry user. It is intended for the person who doesn't use Denari a lot, but does occasionally need to run reports, see a donor's gift history or pledges, etc. They are not able to create or change gift records, pledge records, appeal codes, fund codes, etc. And finally is read-only. This level allows just that. The user can only read the information in Denari. They can't change anything. The security level setting allows for a more detailed level of control, even down to the field level. You can prevent someone from seeing selected fields or making changes to those fields. This topic can be a little complicated and will be covered in more detail in a separate training session. Many of Denari's clients find this level to be more than they need. The important thing here is that if you will not be using the security level control, everyone should have either a 0 or 100 for their setting. This gives them access to Denari to the level of their setting in the access level field. In the interface options section, we have a number of checkboxes that allow us to further control user access. The first is show credit card information. Unchecking this box means that even though the user may have system administrator or data entry access, they will not be able to view or edit credit card and electronic transfer banking information. So if you have someone, for example, who needs to reopen batches from time to time, or they need access to certain administrative functions, you can still restrict them from changing credit card information if needed. A quick note here about credit card information in Denari. Denari does not store or display credit card information to anyone. A user can only see the first and last 4 digits of the credit card info and electronic fund transfer banking information, but users can change credit card and EFT information if they have the access level setting that will allow that. The Hide Quick Reports button, or checkbox, refers to the reports found by clicking the Reports link on the left and then clicking on Quick Reports and Quick Reports again. These reports provide basic information that you may not want even a data entry user to access, so unchecking the box will prevent that. The Hide Favorites Reports checkbox will do basically the same thing, and that link is found in the same location. Hide Financial Stats refers to the graphic information found on the home page of Denari. That's the one you see when you first log in. Hide Gifts will restrict the user from seeing donors' gift history pages. And then finally, the Network User refers to a feature used by organizations who have multiple Denari companies set up. This topic will be covered in a separate training session. However, briefly, we can say that Denari offers an add-on ability to link multiple Denari companies together in a network that can share users and reports. You can include this user in the checkbox by checking this box. In the user access section, we see just 2 fields. One is locked out. It just allows you to lock this person out of Denari temporarily until you uncheck that box again. And the last field just shows when the user last logged into Denari. Once you have the settings the way you want, click Save, and this user will now be able to log into your Denari data. You can come back and change the settings anytime you'd like. Sooner or later, one of your staff members will leave Denari, and you may hire someone to replace them. You can handle this in one of 2 ways. First, you can simply change the existing user record. You can go to the gear icon, Admin, User Setup, and select the user record of the staff person who is leaving. Change the name from the old staff person to the new, along with the username, password, and email address, and hit Save. There's one possible problem with this approach, however. There are some features in Denari that are tied to a specific user. For example, when a user has been assigned to a contact task, the task is really linked to the user record. So simply changing the name on that record will just mean that this new person is linked to that task. If that's not a big problem for you, then this may be the easiest way to add your new staff person. The second way is to handle the staff change by deleting the existing name record and adding the new one. Open the user record and hit the delete button in the button bar. Now you can set up the new record. This concludes this session on user setup. If you have any questions, please contact tech support through the support button found under the help button at the top of Denari.